Karnataka LPG crisis, government assurances versus ground reality. That's the question that I've been asking, you have been asking. The nation heaved a sigh of relief when the Shivalik, an India-flagged LPG tanker carrying 40,000 metric tons of LPG, docked at Gujarat's Mundra port on Monday, followed by Nanda Devi, an Indian tanker carrying about 46,000 metric tons of liquefied petroleum gas, which arrived in Gujarat early Tuesday morning. The wait seems over, but when and how will this be solved remains a question. Today we shall focus on Karnataka, where apart from eateries shutting down, PGs struggling to feed residents and hoteliers frustrated at keeping their kitchens running with alternative cooking alternatives are faced with a myriad problems. There is clearly a cry for help, as today the points below are staring at them even as we speak. The ongoing commercial LPG crisis in Karnataka has moved beyond a business dispute, snowballing into a major humanitarian concern for the state's hospitality workforce. With over 40,000 hotels in Bengaluru alone facing a potential shutdown, nearly 6 lakh workers, a majority of whom are migrants from North Karnataka and neighbouring states, are now living in constant fear of losing their jobs. Take a look. 6 lakh livelihoods are at stake. Migrant workers in city hotels plead for government intervention. Now shutters may come down, lack of commercial cylinders pushing hotel staff to the brink of despair. Staff at several mid-sized eateries in the city expressed their growing anxiety as kitchens began scaling back operations. The Bruhat Bengaluru Hotels Association, or BBHA, which has already filed a writ petition in the High Court, emphasized that the invisible victims of this shortage are the daily wage cleaners, servers and cooks. The workers have collectively urged the state government and the Ministry of Petroleum to prioritize the restoration of the 9,000 cylinder daily requirement. As the legal battle unfolds in the High Court on Monday, the primary plea from the labour unions is to prevent a repeat of the pandemic-era exodus of migrant workers. That pretty much summarizes what is unfolding in Karnataka, even as the government appeals to the people to create no panic, to feel no panic and not resort to black marketing. There is of course a new problem facing consumers at certain restaurants in Bengaluru. Not all, some, let me add. And this is obviously a fallout of the LPG crisis. Some eating places in the IT city decided to levy what is called a gas crisis charge on consumers. This is new. So how this worked is that the bill, which had CGST, SGST and a discount as also the norm, now has an additional charge of this new gas crisis charge. Also seems like this is being made optional, as in restaurants are seeking clients' approvals or permissions to levy this charge. The point is that this is illegal if this is being levied by some eateries. The product cost is of course their individual choice. You know, one restaurant for a dosa can say that it's 20 bucks, someone else can say it's 75 rupees. It's up to them to prices depending on many factors, but any extra tax is considered illegal. The Consumer Protection Act 2019 section 247 defines an unfair trade practice as a practice that, for the purpose of promoting the sale, use or supply of any goods or services, adopts any unfair or deceptive method. Even the question of option or optional is deemed unfair in this regard. But then just to blame restaurants and hotel owners seems very unfair given the situation. And like I began this conversation, the government really now needs to share a timeline, put a timeline in place to specify when the situation shall become normal and ease the pressure. Before I go across to the experts, let's listen into what Sujata Sharma, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, said today.
LPG के संबंध में स्थिति अभी भी चिंताजनक है. ऑनलाइन बुकिंग के अंदर there is an improvement. Now 93% of the bookings are online. परंतु इसके साथ ये भी सच है कि बहुत सारे डिस्ट्रीब्यूटरशिप्स पर लंबी कतार भी है. इस संबंध में हमारी रिक्वेस्ट सभी उपभोक्ताओं से है कि ऑनलाइन बुकिंग के बाद प्लीज वेट, आपका सिलेंडर आपके घर पर डिलीवर होगा, इसलिए डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर के पास जाने की आवश्यकता नहीं है.
Let me now go to the experts to speak about this and of course other issues as well. Subramanya Hola, President of Bangalore Hotel Association, is with us, and Indradhanush, who is an advocate at the Karnataka High Court. Thank you, gentlemen. Namaskara to both of you. I first want to go to Indradhanush. Indradhanush, this kind of gas charge service levy, it's illegal. Won't you agree?
Yes, it's very completely illegal. So I stand with you because there are certain things where there are MRPs and there are certain guidelines
Sure.
wherein they have to set the prices of the menu based upon that guidelines. But this is something, even though there is a crisis, the government has again and again appealed that there should not be any such panic situation created. Of course, there is shortage in LPG and there is shortage of supply. And coming to the central part of the government, Bangalore, there are certain places where we do not have that other alternate facilities as the government advises. But that itself does not give the hotel authorities to take by itself to be authoritative and charge something called as a gas crisis charge, which is completely unfair under Section 2 subclause 47 of Consumer Protection Act, which is unfair trade practice.
Subramanya Hola, you know, Mr. Hola, like I said, just to blame the hoteliers and the eatery owners is not fair, sir. Because they are undergoing extreme stress, and after COVID, this is once again repeat of COVID like of situation. You've trimmed down menus, you have shut down eateries and hotels, you've also kind of told your PG residents, those PG owners, that please go home, or make do with dry rations. I cannot cook you a meal. Dosa is out of the question. Bisibele is out of the question. But I want to ask you, don't you think that some of them are doing this? Not all, sir. Some of them are saying that, look, you want a vada and a pongal, or let's say a filter coffee, this is gas levy. For instance, if I order, let us say, lemon juice, they are saying I will add 17 rupees or 18 rupees to it. Is it happening, Mr. Hola?
We heard a couple of instances about this, but we have instructed all our members that not to do this, because if you really want to hike the price, you are free to hike it, because the association has no control over it. But regarding this gas surcharge, whatever they're doing, they're simply copying the format which airlines are doing. So I said, don't compare yourself with the airlines, and please don't do it. That's what we have instructed them very clearly. And in spite of it, if they're doing, I think somebody should take a legal action against them. And I'm completely with your advocate who is on the panel, because I don't believe in these things. Because we have no control over pricing. You're free to price anything, whatever you want.
But the point of the matter is, like I said, I know names of some hotels. I will never name them, because who knows? I do not know the truth of it. And some of them one waiter, I do not know, sir, so I will never name them. But there is evidence for meals, coffee, juice, this is going on. And also, Mr. Hola, I'll tell you something. If my son is working in Bengaluru, let us say in Whitefield, in an IT company, he'll have to go to the same place to eat his breakfast, like, whatever hotel. Now, if he angers the man or the management in times like this, where he cannot even say, okay, I'll go to the next one, because next one has shut down, what does he do? This is desperate measures for desperate times, sir. Would you agree, Mr. Hola?
See, one of the reasons these guys I know a couple of places who are charging, and I've instructed them not to do it. And very clearly we have told them not to do it. And I agree, I completely am with you. I am not against you at all. So we are instructing our fellow hoteliers very, very clearly that please don't charge anything called a surcharge. And I agree, all of us are in a stress mode, and you're paying 5,400 rupees for a cylinder in black market, including the deposit. So that is the state. But we are running the institution somehow, whatever it is. And there is a problem, and we will address it. We will make it, definitely see that nobody charges extra on the bill. We'll definitely address that.
Mr. Indradhanush, I want to come to you and ask you that, can the consumer, around the Consumer Protection Act, go to the police? Court, what? No one wants to go, sir. So can I go to the police and say they are doing this, this is it? Do you think I will get some kind of a redressal? Because for you and me, maybe, including you also, 17 rupees is not a big deal. But for a student studying, 10 rupees is also extra, sir.
True. Of course, they can probably approach the police because of the unfair trade practice, whatever is happening. Because ultimately, this gives rise to a black market. What we can see is that the raise of the cylinders and the scarcity to meet those needs, if they are doing that, they cannot straight away go to the police and complain because the police do not have complete authority. But of course, police can issue some notice and they can advise them not to do it or to refrain from doing such things. Wherein, if at all, if that is probably addressed, I think sir is here. I think from the association, he is already taking up that they are already instructing that they are doing it. Despite that, if at all, if they are not following and if they continue to do so, definitely they can lodge a complaint that they are trying to extort from the time and they are trying to do all such unfair practices.
Tell you what, Mr. Indradhanush, I can see this argument happening in front of my eyes. They will say, okay, don't pay, then don't eat here. Go. What do you mean? I am paying 5,000 rupees for one cylinder. You want to eat your breakfast or you just want to step out for just 17 rupees? Where do you think I will put my, see, their labor is leaving. The cooks are leaving. Lot of hotels do not know where the next salary is going to come from, because not just
Exactly.
middle-sized hotels, but some well-to-do, with fantastic decor and great food. Bengaluru is such an eating place. So those cooks are paid heavy salaries. They are all saying we can't pay you anymore. So don't you think it's a kind
Correct.
of a catch-22 situation today, Mr. Indradhanush? And I think the police should do something about it so that both are protected. The one who's serving me and the one who's being served.
I think it is the government which has to take some action against that. I think they have to give some directions that they should not be doing it, and if at all, if they are continuing such practices, then the police will have the authority to like step inside and then seize. Then I think this is happening because, especially in South India, it is happening more because our menu are predominantly with the dosas and tawa based items, which are predominantly dependent on this gas cylinders. I think the government has to come up with some resolution for this, and they have to give some strict guidelines. If at all, if they are doing such practices, their trade license can be withdrawn, or there can be some penalties imposed, or wherein some police can step in, can immediately can take some action against them. There can be some temporary measures to safeguard the interest of, as you mentioned, the students and at least the gig workers and all of them, which who are all like interdependent on this hotel industry, Ms. Sudha.
So, the thing is that the bottom line is this is illegal, ladies and gentlemen. Indradhanush, the lawyer on the show, says do not pay the extra charge levy on your food bill. Refuse. But I know you have problems, but then this is illegal. So, don't do anything which is not legal. Mr. Subramanya Hola, you wanted to come in, sir? Did you want to say something, sir?
See, what is happening, I agree with Indradhanush saying that the charge extra is not the way to do it, because I am personally opposed to it. And I feel that if the hotel really wants to increase the price, they are free to increase the price, and that nobody is going to stop.
Right.
So then when the gas difficulties are over, you can bring down the price if you really want to. So by charging it, you're making something very obvious. I think you should not be doing that. And that is where I think the hotels are doing a mistake.
I
And they
also
are
want.
doing it in broad daylight. They are giving a bill with a separate surcharge, saying that they are charging it. Who gave them the authority to charge? A bill,
Yeah, it's
a food
exactly
is
like how
prepared
service
inclusive
charge
of
was being
everything.
charged. Sorry.
Exactly, exactly, correct.
Yeah. Mr. Hola, I also want to bring to your notice, which I started this conversation by saying everyone has heaved a sigh of relief, with Shivalik and Nanda Devi. But don't you think there is a curtain? I mean, the ships have docked. I'm not saying, oh, the ships have docked, you give me, no, it's not, that's silly. But is there a timeline the government has given you? Have they spoken to you when they will start this? I think there is a complete silence. And what that is doing, Mr. Hola, it's multiplying the panic, sir. Would you agree?
See, as of today, I'll tell you, we had a chat with the government in Karnataka here, and we tried to
Right.
get in touch with the central government. And we are trying to have discussions with the IOC, BPCL, and HP also. And what happened 2 days back was like shocking for us. For entire Karnataka, they have just allotted about 1,000 cylinders for Karnataka. And how are they going to distribute it? that is where we got panic about it. They are not really bothered about us, and they're only looking at what is good for them. That is when we decided to file a writ petition. And I think one day the case is going to come up again. And we hope that the court will give a decent order where we'll get some supplies, because in the last 12 days, IOC, BPCL, and HP has not given a single cylinder to any hotel. And nobody can survive. I don't know, a lot of people are using wood fire, they're cooking literally like the old times. Their setups with bricks and wood and everything, whatever. If you see some of the kitchens, you start become primitive. That's what you're going to ask now.
That's what the show was also. I mean, we can put up the BG yet again. That's what we were saying. The LPG crisis, is the ground reality versus assurances from the government. And you're clearly saying that there is a huge gap here, and therefore it is giving rise to what all, the black marketing, the panic, and this gas levy charge. Indradhanush, let me close the show with this debate with you, with giving you the last word. Don't you think somewhere we accept things because the consumer rights in our country are still very vague? We don't even know what we deserve. Something comes damaged, we'll say, okay, forget it, it's only 300 rupees. Who will run to the police? Who will run to the court? But in this case, do you think there can be redressal, or it's going to be one, round around the mulberry bush? Then I would rather not eat the dosa and go home.
Correct. I think there has to be some swift decisions taken, and I think there has to be some easier methods, because each and everybody going with the surcharge to the consumer court being the same only recourse, going there and filing a case against them and running around the courts would not generally practically happen all the time. There should be some quick redressal forum where once the petition is filed, they have to look into it and there ends the case. There shouldn't be there should be a complaint, go before the court, give a notice, come before the court, let there be a hearing from both the parties when it is opening in the broad daylight. And by the time the case is decided, the practice is already done. It is done and dusted. And the eateries will be ready to take up the whatever the fine or whatever is levied against them. Probably the huge giants will be a very minimal thing for them. So there should be some strict action, and there should be some quick redressal actions by the government, which has to be initiated for taking action immediately for the consumer point of view.
Yes, absolutely.
We cannot.
But that doesn't happen, right? Unless that happens in times like this, it's very important, because if the hoteliers are suffering, so are people, because they are not getting their stomachs full with the lovely meals that they are used to every day.